Yo, 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 yo. Yes, people, welcome back to another edition of the Down with Daps show here on City Extra. You got myself and Daps for the evening. This fine Thursday evening, people. It's nearly the weekend. We can nearly start to relax a bit. I hope you've all had a very good week. House rules, as always, before we get started, please smash a quick like on this stream. Really does help more than you'll ever know. And subscribe if you're new around here. Daps, we haven't spoken since last week. I think the last time we spoke was regarding charges as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was about
might as well get it spamming from now. First house rules, spam 115.
I'm sick of that, bro. When we get cleared, I'm getting 115 tattooed on my arm or something.
Well, literally, we will forever be known as 115. It's funny. On Never a Foul earlier, I was watching. They were kind of spoke on it because it was just as the news broke about a date being set, and like Cass was saying, look, like, if they do get found innocent of it, like if we don't, and this is the thing, I don't believe we will be found guilty. Yeah.
Do you think?
Well, there's 115 charges. I do believe we will be found guilty of one or two. That's what I think. Yeah. I think there's one or two in there for that exact reason. I think one or two of the petty ones, you know, like the grass one. There's another one about that we didn't have an area for, I think, the Premier League to test players after a game or some stupid shit like that. I think they have been put in there with the sole purpose of, no matter what, we are finding them guilty of something. Yeah. Because then that ultimately means that it will forever be Man City were guilty. Do you know what I mean? Like, if it's the same as the UEFA thing, that we were found innocent of the main charges, but because of we failed to cooperate, it's like, oh, well, City were guilty. And I think we will be found guilty of something pathetic, like, and just so that they can stick guilty. But the funniest thing is, I've had conversations with some rivals in the last week or two where they've told me, even if we get found innocent, in their eyes, we're guilty. And then I'm like, well, at that point, we might as well not bother having a conversation, because they've said, oh, I don't like the way some City fans are moving arrogant and turning it into a joke. And I'm like, because we're bored of talking about it, right? Until, the same as what Pep said, until it's actually a decision has been made, it's boring. And none of us are qualified to talk on it. So we might as well banter it, yeah? And then once everything has happened, and once, you know, we know what the charges are, we know what we've actually, because this is the thing, everyone at the moment's doing this thing of, oh, what do you think the outcome should be? Well, there's 115 charges, yeah? And we don't know if we're going to be found guilty of one, none, 15. How can we possibly say what the outcome is? Oh, well, because Everton got deducted 10 points. Oh, right, okay. Okay, fair enough. And the funniest one today is that rivals are so pissed off because I think it's come out basically that the trial won't be until late autumn. But then the decision, which is right, by the way, because anyone that's been through or had friends that have been through or watch a program to do with courts, you have the whole like trial, and then it gets adjourned or postponed or whatever it's called until sentencing. Yeah. Because they have to go away and look at everything that's been presented. And that's the one, like, I've seen Arsenal fans like, what? It won't be done by the end of this season? Because you lot think there might be a chance if you win in the league.
I think they're in the process right now of gathering evidence, aren't they? Which
Mancini
like
might be hollered at
yeah.
last.
So for a case of as many charges as this and as complex as this, gathering evidence for this was always good. I'd be surprised if it happens in autumn 2024.
Oh,
Genuinely,
for
I would.
real. For real. Everton, I said this last week. Everton went guilty in March, right? It's now November. All they had to do was work out what the punishment was for one charge, right? Because there was no investigation. They went guilty. We're guilty. Okay, cool. Give us 8-9 months to work out what we're going to do with you, right? We've got to go through a whole case of 115 charges, the whole investigation, which will probably last months or weeks at least of all the back and forth. And then they have to go away and think about a punishment. And do you know what? I honestly don't believe it will end up with a relegation as well. I do think they will find enough, and I think they really want to give us a point. They want to give us relegation. They won't be able. They won't. They won't. Yeah,
I think you're right. I think you're right about we'll get found guilty of something because I think it's a simple case of the Premier League will take the mindset we have to leave here with something. We
yeah. Oh
must
yeah,
leave
yeah.
here. We can't come out empty-handed after all the shitstorm we've caused. Do you know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. But at the same time, they'll be looking at it thinking, "Oh, Chelsea and City, two of the big six. They don't want us out of that league. They don't want us out of the league." Now, if we get a 15-point deduction, because I don't even think when people go, "Oh, it could be no, it won't be a 30 or 40-point deduction." I honestly think the worst we'll be looking at is like maybe a 15-point deduction and a massive fine. But if it isn't anything to do with financial fair play, it won't even be that. It will just be a hefty fine. Because if it isn't financial fair play, I don't think they'll have a leg to stand on with a point deduction even. So
I said this in the Big Six last week, and I got totally laughed at by people who are in a position of hope and desperation that City go down the toilet. I said, a lot of people are refusing to recognize the point that you kind of hinted at there, which is that City and Chelsea are two commercial assets to the Premier League, which are beyond what we're aware of. Do you know what I mean? Like the money that we put into the pockets of the Premier League as an organization is extortionate. Like I made the point and people kind of took it on board but didn't want to accept it, which is that as a Premier League, we like to view ourselves and brand ourselves as the biggest and best product there is when it comes to football. And whether you like it or not, both City and Chelsea have contributed to us being the best product when it comes to football. Massive.
In the last 15, 20 years, we're pretty much the only ones that have been contributing. I mean, Liverpool.
Everyone in the comments everyone in the comments was like, "Oh, but Premier League existed before City got took over." I was like, I don't care. We're talking about the guts of nearly 20 years now since City got taken over. We've dominated for half of that. So 15 years, we have dominated and owned domestic football through and through.
Do you know what? If you really look at this, it's a completely different subject, but it's relevant to it. Is a Liverpool fan earlier was saying that he feels that Klopp needs to win another league for him to be in a conversation with the likes of Pep, right? And I'm like, bro, respectfully, in this era, the Klopp-Pep era, Pep has won 5 Premier Leagues, right? I believe 4 league. Is it 4 League Cups, or was one of them possibly under Pellegrini? I think it was 4. I think it's 4.
4 in a row.
Yeah, 4 in a row. Yes, so 4 of them. Right. He's been to the last 3 semi-finals in the Champions League, 2 of the last 3 finals in the Champions League, and won one of them. He's done a double. He's done a domestic treble. He's done 100 points. He's done a three-peat. Klopp has not even retained a Premier League. Right. Not retained a Premier League. Yeah. It's like, and this is what I'm talking about. Manchester City brought the Premier League Pep Guardiola, right? Manchester City brought the Premier League Kevin De Bruyne. Manchester City brought the Sergio Aguero moment that, by the way, and this is something that's really important because that is during the 2011 to 2018 period, right? And everyone wants to moan about it. Your clubs benefited from that moment because the minute that goal got scored, the amount that the Premier League and Sky Sports demanded, went through the roof. Because it was like, oh my God, this league is different gravy. All these little moments that they brought the Premier League, and there's still this narrative that goes around that, oh, City, they're making up these figures that they're generating this much money globally, right? We're the only other team behind Manchester United to do a treble, right? We're the only ever English team to do both trebles. We're the only English team to get 100 points. We have Pep Guardiola as our manager. We have Erling Haaland as our spearhead up top, right? We had what? How many players in the Ballon d'Or nominations? Right?
Six.
Right. These are all things. And by the way, there's relevance to what I'm talking about because I'm talking about things that are recognized globally, right? Not recognized by like Man United fans in England. They are recognized globally. They are recognized by Manchester United fans in Japan, Arsenal fans in Africa. What we are doing is recognized by them. And even if they don't support us, their children might, right? And their children are the ones that demand merchandise. It's not the adults. It's the children that demand merchandise. Then you look at the fact that we have all these clubs around the world, right? That again, ultimately, if you support New York City, I'm pretty damn sure you support Manchester City as well. Yeah. But people don't want to hear that. They just want to hear, no, your little city. I mean, Chelsea fans will still talk about our stadium on Tuesday night against Leipzig, right? But that is a Tuesday night against Leipzig when we've already qualified, where it actually ended up full, but at the start, because it's an evening kickoff, it didn't look as full. Our stadium capacity and Chelsea's stadium capacity are not comparable, right? And I saw Chelsea's Premier League games in April half full, just because they're on that little bit bad run of form. But it's mad. People still want to say these things about our stadium. Bro, we've sold out every single home game this season by September. What are people talking about? But they don't want to hear this. They just don't want to hear it.
Over as well. We're selling it out multiple times over because whenever a season ticket holder like myself can't go to a game,
it gets sold out again.
On there for £300 to make more money. But even on that Aguero goal moment you're talking about, man, ever since that goal hit the back of the net, almost every Premier League advert at the beginning of every season finishes with that moment.
Aguero!
So the Premier League are happy to use us as a marketing tool, as an advertisement tool, and no doubt it's worked. No doubt that one goal you're talking about did elevate the Premier League globally, and no doubt what we've done. And people talk about the money, the exact figure, whatever it was, 713 million. They're like, well, when Man United won the treble in 1999, they didn't get 713 million.
Inflation, you dunces.
Inflation, mate. Social media, inflation, internet, everything. It's a whole different ball game now.
In 2000, when did they win the? When did they get the treble?
99.
In 99, I could probably have bought a Fredo for 10p, and I probably, a McDonald's value meal wouldn't have been £2.88, but it certainly wouldn't have been like £7.99. Yeah. So that's a prime example of it. The other thing is you have to look at, is what is good for the Premier League. And then there's one step further. Firstly, what is good for the Premier League? Because if Manchester City and Chelsea get kicked out of the Premier League, then that will then officially mean that Tottenham are part of the Big Six. Yeah. Right. Okay, cool. So what is better for the Premier League product? A club that is built solely on profit, right? Sell Kane and don't replace. Get rid of one of the biggest names in the Premier League and don't replace, right? Or a club that Aguero leaves and they go, we want Erling Haaland, right? Which one would they rather have? A club that is bringing like new markets to the Premier League, or a club that ultimately is going, no, we're not going to concentrate on the Premier League. We want to invest in Beyonce and a go-karting track, right? Which one is better for the Premier League, yeah? Then you have to look at, actually, take it a step further and think above the Premier League and think the government. Which one is better for you and me, Huey? Which one is, or maybe not you, I don't know, but anyone living in England, right? Which one is better? A club that pays 40,000 wages or a club that pays 150,000 wages? The tax you make off of 150, 200 grand a week, yeah? And whenever people talk about, oh, the government should put caps on player wages, they never will, right? Because these players' wages are helping to keep our taxes down, right? Because they're taking 50%, possibly even more, 50% of every football player's wages. The higher they are, the more the government earn. And look, I know to a football fan, what I'm saying right now is like, but that shouldn't matter. I completely agree with you, right? But if that doesn't matter, none of these charges ever would have been brought up. We would have just been talking about what Manchester City are doing on the pitch, right? But it's not us that want to make it about business. It's not us that want to make it about finance. We are more than happy to do what Manchester United fans did when I was a kid, and that was talk about the success on the pitch. But conveniently, these American-owned clubs don't want to talk about the success on the pitch. They want to talk about the business element. Therefore, in our defense, we will talk about the business element.
We're kind of victims of the time we're in, though, aren't we? I mean, like
Yeah.
when United won the treble in 1999, there's no social media. There was no ability to question how they won their treble. There's no ability to question how Alex Ferguson built his team. There's no ability to question the money United were spending. It was just, you might chat to it about your mate down the pub, but there was no real voice and platform to get onslaught of conversation going. But because we now have a bigger platform than ever through mainly Twitter and YouTube, people can come in herds and millions to send for Manchester City, to start questioning things that the reality is they haven't a fucking clue about. I've been so consistent with this thing the whole time since it broke. The very first stream I did or video it was, I said, I made this channel, or my old channel at the time, to talk about football, talk about Man City. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a business expert. I'm just your average man talking about my football team. And I've been roped into this because I have a platform and people want to hear me talk about it, and I will. And my opinion is, I haven't a fucking clue. My club says this, you say that, I'm taking my club side.
Yeah, 100%. And that is exactly it. And like I said, our owners have always been consistent. Khaldun has always been consistent. And that is, we just want consistency. Treat every single club the same, right? But they don't want that, because the truth is, in no other business are people allowed monopolies, right? You're not allowed to get a market where you have such a monopoly where no one else can get in there. But the truth is, all of this is about Arsenal, Liverpool, and Manchester United keeping their monopoly, right? That is it. Now, for certain political reasons, I understand that Tottenham Football Club, because of the circle of their owner that he may move in, he is now associated to that. But this is nothing to do with, that City have done things that clubs have done forever, ultimately. Look, my mum and dad told me when I was very, very young, if you see someone with that much money, they've probably made some of it illegitimately, right? It's just the way of the world. But, and like I said, when we were young, it was just about football. Bro, the other thing this week, another great thing this week, is that the people trying to find anything to get one over City. Manchester United fans this week are now trying to celebrate that City are copying them with a fucking statue. Right? Is that what you're trying to celebrate now? And they're trying to doubt people, trying to United Trey. I've got to mention him because he's a funny fucker, to be fair. Do you know we had him on our channel once when we first started Never a Foul?
Did you? What's he like?
Bro, he the camera was here. You could only see his eyes. It was weird. He's a weird fucker. That's what he is. But we all know that by his tweets. But he tweeted something like, I don't know who these players are. And it's like, well, I wouldn't expect you to know who Colin Bell, Francis Lee, and Mike Summerby are, yeah? You're a Manchester United fan that's probably about 20 years old at best, yeah? Why the fuck would you know who... Look, if I keep it a buck, right? If it wasn't for George Best's antics off the pitch, my age, I wouldn't have known who George Best was, right? It was his antics off the pitch. Same with David Beckham. If we're being real, a lot of youngers would not know. Look, I'm not saying David Beckham was not a good footballer, but if you're of a certain age, you only know of David Beckham because he was with Posh Spice, right? So I wouldn't expect you to know, but when you look at it, when they go, oh, who even are these? Well, they're three absolute legends that are from our previous golden era, right? They won in the space of 3 seasons. They won the equivalent of the Premier League. They won the Cup Winners' Cup. They won the League Cup, and they won the FA Cup. They won 4 major trophies in 3 seasons, right? That's who they were. They did a cup. They did a League and European Cup double. That's who they were. Ask anyone that knows about football. They know who Colin Bell, Mike Summerby, and Francis Lee were. And as City fans, ultimately, we don't even care. This is our grounds. If we want a statue for the people that our dads worshipped, we will ask the club for a statue for them. It ain't none of your business. But again, we've got no history. Then we have a statue to celebrate our history. Don't want to moan about us having a statue to celebrate our history. Don't make sense, bro.
There's also the reality that United fans won't like to hear is that the current generations of United fans wouldn't really know to the same extent they do about Best Lawn Charlton if that statue wasn't there. Because if that famous statue wasn't there, kids don't ask questions.
No.
Future generations don't learn. You built that statue, it's remembering their legacy. Their legacy lives on. City putting that Colin Bell, Franny Lee, and Mike Sunbury statue there means kids nowadays will walk by that and go, Dad, who is that? Tell me who that is. So the legend will live on. We've just never had that before. You've had that at Old Trafford. That's why we know about them. That's why we talk about them. Because
you're spot on with that, you know. You're spot on with that. That is, and that's not even about football. That's what statues are about. It's ultimately so people remember people and go, oh, hold on, what's that? And you're spot on. My daughter, when I actually brought my daughter up for the Bournemouth game last season, I've got a picture of her with the statues because she was like, Daddy, what are these? So I had to explain to her. Exactly. Yeah, you're spot on. And actually, like now, I can say, you know that, where is it? Thing I've got a picture of Francis Lee over there, right? Because Francis Lee, to me, my dad loved Francis Lee. Like, loved Francis Lee. He always used to tell me about his celebrations, how he'd balance along the advertising boards. And my first era at Main Road, when I started going, was during the Swales Out Franny Lee Inn. And you know, like, to me, it was like, oh, my God, all these City fans going to Main Road, they all worship him. Who's this guy? I need to look into him. And that's exactly now. My daughter asked me about it. So, yeah, it's funny, man. It's all funny. And then the truth is, all we actually want to do is talk about on the pitch. And on the pitch, Huey, we're 2-0 down at half-time, right? We end up winning the game, topping our group 15 points. Them fuckers are 2-0 up, end up bottom of the group, losing the game, and that's what we should be talking about.
I know.
And complaining, and they're complaining about, we don't treat away fans like this. Yes, you do. The only difference is, in Turkey, it was water. At your gaff, it's piss.
Oh, mate, I was in Old Trafford in last month, October, wasn't it? And I swear, man, that away end, it's like I don't even want to use
Istanbul. Bro, it's like Galatasaray away, right?
Oh, it's dreadful. It's dreadful. There's 150 people here. Smash the like button. Do me a favor, please. But I mean this genuinely, not even on a biased one. Old Trafford away end is a joke. It's a joke. They do not have a leg to stand on when they go to away grounds and start cussing other people's stadiums, because that place is an absolute shitter. But listen, we'll park the conversation on charges and this, that, the other, because I'm bored, man. I'm tired. I'm tired of that conversation. It's just we're gonna have to talk about it every now and again now, up until 2025. But
don't you think that maybe in a way now, this is a good thing that it's come out? There should be no reason now to talk about it until next autumn, and we're still in autumn now, a year's time. They've said, listen, the case does not start until this time next year. The charges will not be confirmed and the punishment will not be given until potentially a year later. Therefore, everyone can shut their mouth for a year and concentrate on the pitch. And
something will happen. Something will happen whereby another club gets investigated or something happens to someone else, and then inevitably we're roped back into the conversation. And you know, the same explosion on Twitter happens like it did after Everton got their points deducted. But fuck it, like I'm here. I don't lose sleep at night over it. Like I've made it clear. Send us down, I'll still be there. Keep us up, I'll still be there. Yeah, do what you want at this point. I don't fucking care anymore.
I'd just say, I mean, send this down. That would be fun. But also, can you imagine how pissed off rivals will be if they don't send us down and say they give us a 15 or 20 point deduction? Because ultimately, they can't go, we won the league over you. Because it's like, well, yeah, we knew before a ball had been kicked you were going to win the league. You got fucking 20 point. It's like, you can't even brag at us now. Because... and the funniest thing is that if we end up getting Champions League football that season, then whoever doesn't get Champions League that football will be in an absolute... That's the type of thing I can imagine Pep looking at a 15 or 20 point deduction and going, oh, I like that. I like that. We can hunt down the likes of Tottenham, the likes of Man United.
I think we still get Champions League football with a 15-point deduction.
I think we would.
I still think we get top 4, top 5. It doesn't bother me. I mean, like some fans are losing the plot now with the idea. They really think that it's going to be just the end of Manchester City. The people who run our club, they're way too good at what they do to allow everything they've built since 2008 to just fall down the shitter off the back of this.
They wouldn't, like I said, they would not be building a hotel and extending the stadium if they thought that they were going to lose this case. They would not be doing that. They'd be going, do you know what? We might as well stop. They wouldn't be trying to buy new players and whacking them on new contract extensions. They wouldn't be doing none of that. It's not what you do. Look, a great example is Manchester United. Manchester United were loaning players, were loaning players in the summer because they know that the owners wanted to sell up a part of it, When you're going to sell something, you do basic work. Like if I wanted to sell this house right now, I'd do some basic work. Like, do you know what? This lounge probably looks a bit too football-y. I'll do some basic paint the walls magnolia, right? Just to sell it, right? I wouldn't be going, do you know what? I'm going to go and buy the best wallpaper I possibly can. I'm going to get new furniture. You don't do that. So all of this is funny, man. These rivals that are dreaming and hoping and praying that this is the end of Manchester City. It's cute. It's cute.
I know. People are getting gas, man. Let's move it on to the football anyway. Chat, do me a favor, smash a like on this stream, get more people in here. It massively helps the channel, and subscribe if you're new around here. We're really close now to 85k. 85k would be sick to hit sometime soon, so all of your support massively helps. Hey?
As George's in here, I'll do it. Oh, you can do it better than me.
Right. Yeah, because I just know it. Like I hear it in my sleep now. At this point, I get him to do it so often.
You need one that actually does the.
I'm gonna tell him if it's not copyrighted. I'm gonna tell him to put that on the soundboard. Let's chat about the actual week of football we've had. What did you make of our game against Liverpool? 1-1.
The funniest thing from that is that apparently City are in the mud from a draw with Liverpool. City are in the mud. It's not the ideal result, is it? It's not. But at the same time, it's going into the game. It was if Liverpool win it, then Liverpool fans will think they're back. But anything less, then they'll still be like, oh. As far as our performance, I don't think we played too badly. But I don't think it's not an April City Liverpool at the Etihad game, is it? And I think that was the key to it. That people are forgetting this already. Look, I've got to call this out. Wolves away, drop points. Liverpool away, Liverpool at home, drop points. Arsenal away, drop points. Chelsea away, drop points. I'm pretty certain in the league they're the only points we've dropped, right? 3 draws and 1 loss. Sorry, no, 2 losses. Arsenal, Wolves losses, and Liverpool and Chelsea draws.
Yeah.
Right. Do you know one consistency between those 4 games?
Injuries?
Jack Grealish and John Stones didn't start any of them.
Is Jack Grealish that big a miss for you? Because it's a hotly discussed topic.
So for me, I'm not singling out Jack Grealish and John Stones. They're different conversations. It's more about players that know the system, players that were there last season. It's the fact that the team, if you look at the team that started Real Madrid at home, the team that started Bayern Munich at home, the team that started Champions League final, then I'm pretty certain Stones was in all of them. I'm pretty certain Grealish was probably started all of them. Pretty certain Gundogan probably started all of them. I'm pretty certain Kevin De Bruyne started all of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Also, all 4 of them are players that know about keeping the ball, players that know about winning, players that know the system, right? So I'm not saying it is because of Jack Grealish and because of John Stones. What I'm saying is we've lost players that know the system. We've lost players that know the way City play. We've lost players that know about winning the league. We've lost a couple of players that have been very pivotal and been there, done it with us and with Pep, right? When you lose them and you replace them with 4 players that haven't done as much, and also the key factor to it is Stones comes into midfield. Grealish is a winger, stroke midfielder, right? De Bruyne's a midfielder. Gundogan's a midfielder. Pep is a manager that likes midfield dominance. So you take all four of them out of it, I don't think it's a coincidence. I really don't. Look, and it's hard, the Grealish Doku thing, because I like Doku as much as the next man. This is not a me slandering Doku, right? It's knowing at times that, like, and here's one to actually get at Grealish a little bit. Grealish first season against Real Madrid in that semi-final second leg. He nearly scored, innit? But he didn't. They went the other end and they scored, right? Because Grealish, that was his first season at Manchester City and him not knowing the things. And like at one point, I think against Leipzig the other day, actually, I think Doku lost the ball and they went the other end and scored. Right. Now, I'm not blaming Doku for that, because it's Doku is a 21-year-old that has just arrived in this system and is just getting used to it. That I think that's the difference. That with Stones and Grealish, it gives us this element of control. And I do think we miss it at times. Look, Leipzig game, actually, Grealish wasn't that good in the first half, but that first half performance against them. But I do think when I look at the Liverpool game, I think against a team like Liverpool, where you know what they can, you know that when they get a chance, they can make it count. I think keeping the ball is so important. And I do think, I could be wrong, I think Stones is a bigger miss than Grealish. Don't get me wrong. Stones is such a big miss. Such a big miss. But, you know, he's been on the bench the last 2 games now. I would expect to see him play a part in the Tottenham game at the weekend. And I'm happy that he didn't get rushed back in those 2 games, because the season is far bigger than those 2 games. Far bigger.
We spoke about the style of play on the panel show last night, and Martin says he really doesn't like the style of play that we have now, and he thinks that Doku is probably the reason behind it, because Doku, as we know, doesn't offer the same amount of control as Jack Grealish. It's more heavy metal football. And when you play heavy metal football, you do tend to leave yourself more exposed at the back. And then we see the likes of Rodri having nights like he did against Leipzig. He was stinking.
It was awful. Awful. Do you know what, though, as well? Here's the thing with that, right? Is that sometimes it can be, well, in fact, a lot of the time it's more than one thing. And people will try and put their finger on one thing, right? But what you just said there is that if you're playing rock and roll football and you lose the ball, right, and then they take it to the other end, and you haven't got Stones sat in your defence, then it's okay. So firstly, we've given the ball away too easily. But then secondly, we haven't got one of our best defenders there. And like, I like Akanji. I really like Akanji, but he ain't no John Stones. He is not a John Stones. And this Rodri-John Stones partnership, they just get each other. They know when it's his time to go forward and me to sit back, or your time to go forward and me to sit back. And I think we're just missing. That's ultimately what I'm getting at. We're a few players out of our system. All of a sudden, De Bruyne comes back in. That's going to make a world of difference. I really do think it. And I think Stones will come in. I think Stones will keep his fitness. And I do think Grealish will end up starting a lot more games. I do think, look, we've seen it every season with Pep, that Pep will know when it's time to go, do you know what, boys? There's no more dropping points. That, like, now, at the moment, we drop a point, it doesn't impact us that much, right? And Pep knows that. People will talk about at the moment, right? My prime example of this, that comment there, is if you look at some of City's bigger games, against big teams, right? Often we started last season in particular, and even this season, Haaland, Foden, and Grealish have all been on the pitch, right? And I'll be honest, against Leipzig, first half, I don't think Haaland, Grealish, and Foden were the issue. We were creating chances. Sure, we weren't that clinical, but we were creating chances. For me, the issue in that first half against Leipzig in particular was defensively and defensive in midfield. Like you said, Rodri was misplacing passes for fun. But then also, people weren't made... You know, if I play a bad pass out to someone on the wing, right? If we lose this game, we're gonna drop points in that we lose out on the league, then players will make that extra bit of effort to keep the ball in play. Against Leipzig, it was like there was almost like Pep had been like, look, don't bust a ball in this one, boys.
Bit of complacency.
I don't want injury, but maybe complacency, but also we don't want injuries going into this Christmas period. We've already got injuries. We don't need any more. So, don't overstretch trying to keep the ball in. And maybe I'm overthinking it, but I do think there is relevance to it, that you try harder when if we don't win this game, we're not winning the league.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have that, then, So Liverpool game, I think we deserve to win. And I'm not talking about that decision, because for me, swings and roundabouts with decisions.
We did enough anyway to win the game without that.
We did. Yeah, I mean, Alisson made 2 sensational saves. For me, the Foden save from Alisson was brilliant, because Foden hit it quite early. Alisson had a few players in, and it was going bottom right. And Alisson got down, got his fingertips to that. He also made a save off of Haaland. Alvarez had an opportunity put over the bar. We had more than enough chances to win that game. But you know what? Is what it is, man. It's a point. I don't think we're going to be at the end of the season looking back going, if we would have beat Liverpool, we would have won the league. I really don't. I don't think that's going to impact it. So.
No, I don't think it is either. But I mean, Liverpool fans are taken from it that whenever they've gone to the Etihad and got something, they usually go on and win a major trophy, whether it's Champions League or Premier League. But everyone has their own way of looking
at something.
It kind of felt to me when I was at the game, it felt a bit like an Anfield game. It felt a bit like an Anfield game whereby we controlled, we dominated, we played the better football. We just didn't put the ball in the back of the net. You know what I mean? We should have, but. Look, we'll see. There's no love lost. Professional idiot with the 5. Big up. Daps, you're gonna have to do it. Professional idiot says most people forget that most of United's fans are from London rather than Manchester. Even more of their fans are tourists. Nothing wrong with being from London. There's nothing wrong.
Listen, I'm not quite from London, although a lot of people north of the M25 think that my accent is London. I'm not from London, but nothing wrong with being from London.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, do you know what? Actually, I just lied. I was born in North London, and then when I was born in North London. Then when I was 3, my mum remarried, and we moved up to Manchester till I was 16, and then we moved back down here when I was 16, and now I live in Bedford, which is like in between London and Birmingham, pretty much. It's really weird. Where I live, we speak like we're Southern, right? If I go to Northampton, which is 15 minutes away, they all speak like they're from Birmingham.
You're lucky you don't have that accent, mate. That one, that's not the one. The Birmingham.
You like the old mucker?
All right. Gonna go watch City.
Yeah. You're fucking Grealish here.
I like Grealish. I like his accent. I'm only joking, Birmingham people. Please don't take offense. I do actually like your accent. It's just unique, isn't it? But bigger professional idiot with the £5 super chat. I want to talk to you about the Tottenham game on Sunday as well, and then maybe a bit about January business. Actually, maybe we'll start with that. I think that's a conversation we need to have. We spoke a bit about it on. Oh, listen, Matzo, I'm Irish. I know, but I'm not slagging anyone's accent. It's no big deal.
It's the go-to, isn't it? It is the go-to. The go-to is that you should support your local team if you're a City fan, but if you support any other team, it's fine.
Listen, I get my City. I've told this story a million times. It's my mum's side of the family lived in Manchester for 30 years. Granddad's City through and through. Mum's side of the family City through and through. Unfortunately, I don't talk like this. Kid, you know what I mean? Steve always slags my accent. I find it funny, man. I enjoy it.
Do you know the funniest thing is, that whenever Steve reminds me of my dad at times, not that he's that much older than me, because he really isn't, but it's more that he'll like all of them, to be fair, everyone I travel with, they're all like I am the Cockney Blue ultimately, innit? But when I was young, so my mum remarried, so my mum and dad, real dad, are both from London. My mum remarried my stepdad, who's born and bred Manc, when I was 3,
Mm-hmm.
And I've only realised recently, my dad always used to call me a Southern fairy, And now he did. He always, oh, you Southern Fairy, right? And now it is the way Northerners see Southerners. It's Southern Fairies, but
It's just a go-to thing to have a laugh at something about, isn't it? Their
yeah.
accent or
Oh.
where they're from.
I could listen. I salute every single one of my Manc brothers that wear shorts in January. Yeah, I salute it.
LB,
Oh,
who used to be on City Extra, bro. If it's snowing outside, he'll go out and wear shorts.
oh.
I've never seen the guy wear long trousers. He only wears shorts.
Yeah, it's a Manc thing, bro. Shorts.
It's
Short.
crazy. It's crazy. But big up all the Manx, big up all the Brummies, big up all anybody from anywhere. If you're a City fan, big up you.
You're
Yeah,
blue.
January business apps. It's a conversation that we spoke about last night on the panel show. The squad's light for me. The squad is it's a bit light. I
The
mean, if you look,
bench. The bench
see the bench,
against Liverpool was
against
minging,
Liverpool.
mate.
Oscar Bob is the only attacking option.
I think that was like I saw one or two people actually talk about Pep not making a substitution, and I was like, okay, well, that's why I kind of wanted Grealish to start, and I wanted Rico to start, and I wanted Alvarez, and I wanted Doku on the bench, because then you've got impact players off the bench. The minute Alvarez started, the minute Doku started, and I know part of that was because Grealish wasn't well, I looked to the bench and it was fine when we were 1-0 up. The minute it became 1-1, right, you make substitutions. So if you look at the substitution Liverpool made when they scored, they brought an Endo because they were happy with the draw and they wanted to play out for a draw, right? Now, we would have ideally wanted a win. So to get a win, you don't go, I know, I'm going to bring off Alvarez and put on a defensive player, right? That's all we had on the bench was defenders and Oscar Bob. That was it, right? He was the only forward player. So I hear that. I'm still of the opinion that we're playing with fire on the DM situation because, you know, we got a warning with Rodri's suspension of 3 games, yeah? And I say it was a warning because it was only 3 games, right? And if he gets suspended again, it will only be 1 game or 3, right? If he gets an injury, that's not 1 or 3 games. That could be 8, 10, 12 games, right? So we've had a warning of the DM situation. Now, of course, if Stones is back fully fit for the rest of the season, then that could help, right? And with De Bruyne being back in the... But I think it's a big risk we are playing. For me, Calvin Phillips is not it. Do you know, in hindsight's a beautiful thing. We have had a stinker with Lavia and with Douglas Luiz.
Douglas Luiz, man, he'd be sick.
Well, we've had both of them. Both of them came through us.
What was the Douglas Luiz one? We couldn't get his visa or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then ultimately just he went. And we did have a buyback on him. But I think both of them. But the biggest issue with this is it's the hardest thing because I still think the only way really and truly, of course, we could find a gem abroad. We could find a gem of a DM that just happens to come in. But we've got Rodri, the best 6 in world football, potentially the best midfielder in world football. And he's not far off a conversation of one of the best players in world football, right? Now, when we bought Calvin Phillips, I kind of was like, why is he coming to us? It looks like another Jack Rodwell. Because does he really think that he is going to displace Rodri, right? Now, if you're looking at a player that if Rodri gets injured or Rodri gets suspended, can come in and sit in and do a Rodri role instantly, yeah? There's not many players in world football that are that good, that have that good a mentality, that are happy to go, yeah, no problem. I'll go and sit on the bench at City, knowing that if Rodri's injured, I'll play. The only people that would probably be willing to do that and have that ability is players that have come through your youth team. Or like I said, a gem that no one really knows about. Because if you are that good and you back yourself, and mentality to me is a massive, massive thing. Like, if you back yourself, you want to start every single game. So then at that point, would you be saying, I want to go City, knowing I can't think there's any 6 in world football that actually thinks they can come in and displace Rodri, especially in a Pep Guardiola system. It's just, he's the perfect 6 for Pep Guardiola. There is no better.
You're looking for a certain type of personality, aren't you? Like a really specific type of personality like the gem abroad you said, or an academy, or else someone who genuinely is just not arrogant, but really backs himself to the point where they're like, you know what, I want to play under Pep. I want to play for Manchester City. I know Rodri's in my way, but fuck it, I'm going to take him on. I'm going to try and take Rodri's place. And at the
Yeah.
elite level of sport, there are personalities like that. They're just not easy to find. I mean, Mulv is just actually just in a super chat this second. I was about to reference you, Mulv. Big
It's
up Mulv with
both.
the super chat. What a legend, man. He says, Ede, Shue, Pancakes, Jordan. Are these your boys, yeah? I'm pretty sure these are your mates.
Hold on. Eddie, yeah. Scully, Pancake. Hold on. How does he know them?
I'm at Pancakes. Did Eddie have ones?
Bro, how does Noisy Neighbours know all of them lot?
It's the universe, man. The universe
No,
is
that's mad.
colliding.
That is, yeah. Hold tight, Scowie as well. Hold tight, Scowie fully. Yeah, all of them. And Little Jensen as well. Well, there's two Little Jensens, to be fair. I'm actually going to tell you a story on the Little Jensens, yeah. Madrid. So, Madrid, we went out to Madrid on the Sunday. So, the night Arsenal played Newcastle, yeah. And after the game, we're sat in a bar in the square. And I've looked across at one of the Jensens. I'm not going to name which one, because then that means that no other halves can get mad at their dads, right? I've looked at it, and when I say little, they're like 12 or 30. And he's got a Patron. I've gone, is that Patron? He's gone, yeah, what? And backed it. Bro, they're the whole time, and hold out all of them, and Cam as well. Cam's not in there, but I'm intrigued at how you know. Yeah, they're all the boys still. They're all the boys.
Mulv, you don't have to send another super chat, but elaborate on how you know these
Eddie
boys.
Scowie. I mean, that's not how you spell Scowie, but it's a good attempt. Pancakes, Geordie Bryan, yep. Daps, Little Jensen, both of them. Nathan, Cam, all the lads. Yeah,
Anyways,
you're spot on.
Mulv, you're going to have to elaborate, but I was going to reference Mulv because
Basically, hold tight Withenshaw. That is it.
the Wooden Jaw Blues, man, they're always active. Mulv said last night, he threw a name at me that overnight I thought about might be a potential short-term option for the solution or for the issue you're talking about. He said Tony Cruz. Now, why he says Tony Cruz is because you're talking about players who are coming towards the end of their career. They've played at the highest level. They know what it's like to play at the elite level, and they won't demand to play every single week. Tony Cruz, if he was to come to Manchester City, he's not going to want to play twice, three.
Yeah.
You just throw him in when you're playing Bournemouth at home and tell Rodri, you stay at home, mate, and put your feet up and watch the game because Tony Cruz is going to do it. And you'd be pretty confident that Tony Cruz could pick it up pretty quickly. So,
well, that's a great shout, you know. And he's not happy, is he? He's not overly happy over there, apparently, the reports are. It's a good shout. It's a very good shout. They're the ones that are probably, yeah. I'm trying to think, like, even if you think in hindsight, like, we've done things like that. I mean, Frank Lampard is probably a good example. Yaya Toure, to be fair. Not Yaya Toure, sorry. Patrick Vieira, when Patrick Vieira came in. We got to remember, Patrick Vieira, we won our first FA Cup under Patrick Vieira. So they're players that come in and they know how to do a job. It's a really, really good shout with that. I mean, the other one is Douglas Luiz, obviously, but I think
he's going to go to somewhere big, Douglas Luiz, and be the main man. He'll be the main man.
I think, I hate to say it, but I could see him going Liverpool because if he could look at Arsenal and he'll want to have serious conversations with Arsenal about what is the role. If Partey's staying, he won't go to Arsenal because he'll be like, nah, because it's going to be, when Partey's back from injury, it's going to be Partey and Rice and all things nice. So I think Liverpool's the one you could look at and go, yeah, there's a position. Whereas at City, once bitten, twice shy, firstly. Secondly, the fact that we've got Rodri. Be a great, I'd love him there, but I think Tony Cruz is a good shout, man. The only other thing is there's people with better European football knowledge than me that could probably tell me a couple of little gems that would be willing to come, maybe from Portugal. Maybe, but I don't know. For me, the DM role that's one that I'm really. I don't defensively we're fine, and then the other one would be maybe would we like another winger? Maybe. I mean, wouldn't say no.
I think like Paqueta or someone like that.
Oh, sorry, yeah, Paqueta all day long, but I love Paqueta, but that charge has to go.
There's a report came out today saying that City have personal terms agreed with Paqueta, and And it's just waiting to be done. But they're a bit standoffish because of the
The
charges.
charge. We don't want no more slander on our club. The way we backed out of it in the summer, the minute we heard about it, kind of tells you, City, like, listen, we don't want to give and City won't want it swept under the carpet like parties shit's been swept under the carpet, but keeps popping up like the carpet's got a life of its own, right? We won't want that. We will want, show us the papers, let us see that this has been through court, is settled, cannot pop back up. We'll want it completely done. And then I think, we will, because I think we want him. I really do think he'd come in and he'd just hit the ground running as well.
I've also, that same article says that we're supposedly reigniting interest in Serge Gnabry. I don't know how you feel about that.
I'd rather we get Sane, but
yeah.
I mean, Gnabry's good, but I'd rather Sane if we're going to go in for a player. The only thing is Gnabry maybe he's a bit more of a workhorse than Leroy Sane. Maybe. The thing with Sane is I just don't think Pep would go back for a player that he's had before.
I'd love if he'd break his own rules on that.
So would I for that one, Bo. For that one, I mean Sane and Doku, yeah.
Oh, it's Martin's worst nightmare, mate. Rock and roll football.
Listen, I wouldn't be saying against Liverpool at Anfield, let's start Sane and Doku. But at the same time, Bournemouth at home could be a lot of fun with Sane and Doku. Like it could be a lot of fun.
Mull comes back. He says, "Listen to our podcast, you feckers, and you'd know how we know the lads."
All right, fucking hell. Sorry, Mulvs. Jesus, I'll give it a listen. Is there any particular one that I need to listen to?
Everyone should go and listen to the Noisy Neighbours pod, man. Everyone should go.
Send me the link. I want to check that out. I'm intrigued now. Very intrigued.
They're on Spotify, I believe. They are.
But I want to listen to them, bro. Unless our clique is being spoke about in every single flipping podcast, I need to know exactly which one. But I cannot wait for the European away days. That is all I will say. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm living for them. I'm living for them. I want to go somewhere exciting in February, man.
Napoli.
Where?
Napoli, that'll be exciting.
Hell no. You can report. You can do my vlog for me that one, mate. I'm not going.
That will be exciting. That'll be fun. I don't want to do Madrid again. Madrid's a great laugh. Madrid's always nice weather. The square's great, but the police are just wankers. I'm done with them.
I'll go back to Munich.
I'll go back to Munich. I'll go back to Leipzig. Well, we won't be going back to Leipzig, but I would. Leipzig was all right as well. Leipzig was a good laugh.
We could get Barcelona if certain results go our way. Nou Camp.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing with Nou Camp is we get put in the gods.
Yeah, but experience though, wouldn't it? Be cool experience. Oh, it's not even the Nou Camp. They're in the Olympic
Nou Camp. Yeah, it's up on the hill now. I love the city. Me and Steve did Barcelona for the friendly.
Oh, you know that, yeah?
Yeah.
When Callum Phillips' career ended with the shoulder.
Yeah.
Jerry here with the 27 months. Congrats on 27 months, Jerry. He says, Daps, paper thin depth, leaving this squad vulnerable at CDM and centre back defending. Yeah. Calvin Phillips is just not reliable. Without Rodri, this squad is half as good.
Yeah. I think, do you know, I do agree with that Rodri thing, but I think this can be said about every single club, right? Is we could get away without Rodri if Stones is fit, De Bruyne's fit. Do you know what I mean? For me, it's when too many players that know the system aren't fit. And too many key players that know the system aren't fit. So, look, any team, you take out Rodri, Kevin De Bruyne and John Stones, it's going to impact anyone. And there's no shame in us saying that because they're three of our players. But they're three players that, I mean, England haven't got a chance in hell of achieving anything if John Stones is not fit next summer.
I don't feel he gets the praise properly at international level that he should.
No, he won't do.
Saying?
He's a City player, isn't he?
Yeah, there's definitely a bit of an agenda there. But yeah, big up Jerry for the 27 months. Is there anything else we should be covering in the week of City?
Tottenham's an interesting one.
Yeah. How do you feel? Are you going to that?
No, I'm not. Do you know what? I haven't been up since the Brighton game because I've just been trying to get a few things sorted in my personal life and whatever. And then there's the Tottenham game, which is on a Sunday. Hell for me getting back. And And then our next home game, I think, is Crystal Palace, and that's on the day of my daughter's birthday. So the next home game I'm actually going to is Sheffield United on 30th. So I'm up in Manchester from the 29th till the 2nd. So
I'll probably be there myself. We'll have to go out for a bite to eat, a few drinks.
100%, man, 100%. I'm looking forward. Like I said, I've kind of missed it, to be honest, because I haven't been up there. I went to every home game up until Brighton, I think, and then after that, I've just had things to sort. To be honest, I'm lifing. I'm trying to life a little bit.
Adulthood,
and to be honest, Bo, as well. Look, I've got my daughter's birthday. I've got Christmas, and I already know that I've got a lot of away games next season in Europe. From February. That I need to save some dough for that because.
Of course, man, they're expensive. Those European ones, they're definitely expensive. But no, the Tottenham game, I really feel we should be winning that, mate. I really do.
Yeah.
Just even for morale, get back to winning ways. They're missing a lot of key players. I think like 10 or 11 key players. So it's one of those ones that with as little arrogance as possible, I'd like to think we'll win it.
Yeah, people always talk about our form against Tottenham, right? But our form at the Etihad is really not that bad against Tottenham.
They beat us 2 seasons ago, wasn't it? Remember?
Yeah. And they beat the Champions League, obviously, when they beat us. It would be they beat us the season that Liverpool won the league, and they beat us with that minging handball. I don't know if you remember it, but one of their players pulled. I think Laporte. One of their players grabbed Laporte's arm, and pulled his arm into the ball. Right, the ball struck Laporte's hand without him knowing about it, and a penalty got given. They scored the penalty, but yeah, there's that. And at the moment, their last 2 games without the players they've got missing, they went 1-0 up in both of them, ended up losing both of them. Their midfield's Højbjerg and Skip. But they've got a manager that says mate, so we can't rule it out.
I do feel kind of bad for them because they were off to such a good start and life was going great for them, and then the injuries kicked in. But we'll have to see how that goes.
But that's part of. Bro, I do feel bad for them, but the thing is, we all told them that. We all told them, look, great start to the season, but we've seen it before. And we all told them your squad's too thin, and their fans were like, nah, it's different this time, and it's like. What does that even mean? Your squad isn't different. Your squad is still very thin, and a couple of injuries. And the other thing I would say is that, Romero will get more suspensions this season. Romero picks up cards for fun. Basuma picks up cards for fun, and from what I've seen of O'Doggy as well, he's erratic as hell. So the problem is that these players will continue to pick up cards. Maddison is injury prone. I don't care what anyone says. Go and look at his record. So they're kind of issues that I don't think this is a one-off. I think they will reoccur. And Levy's already said he's not looking to invest that heavily in January. So as for us, look, we should beat them, but we should win most of our games. This is one where I think we'll be fired up for this one as well, by the way. I think after that first half performance, I think Pep would have had some quite harsh words with a few players. That Leipzig game, just quickly, reminded me a lot of Tottenham at home last season. Can you remember Tottenham at home?
The switch up at half-time.
Yeah, and afterwards, Pep kind of said, great second half performance, but that first half performance was not good enough, and some players need to look at themselves. I think that first half performance, probably something very similar got said in the dressing room, that, we're not going to win the league playing like this. And
he's a perfectionist, Pep, isn't he? Pep, he'll be happy we won the game, but it won't be the overall thing for him. It'll be the performance. He'll be saying that performance in the first half, the fact that we saw it hit that low, is just simply not good enough. So
I think Ake will be starting for a little while now, because Ake came on and just looked very. I don't know where. I'm not saying he'll play over Gvardiol. He might play as a centre back, but I just think when Ake came in, Ake's Mr. Reliable for me. There's not too many games where you'll be going, Ake was unbelievable that game. But over the course of kind of a 10-game period, you'll be going, fucking hell, do you know what? Ake is consistently good. And even in that second half against Leipzig, he doesn't make erratic decisions. He'll stay goal side and he'll stay on his feet and he'll just think, nah. One of your touches is going to be bad. And when your touch is bad, I will get the ball. and it usually pays off for him. I think he's one of the most. I had this conversation with an Arsenal fan earlier. I actually think that Ake is better than Gabriel. I honestly believe it, right? And he was going, no. And I thought, well, he said, Gabriel's been unbelievable the last season. I said, what? And Ake hasn't in a team that did the treble. And also, all of you lot tell me that your drop-off was when Saliba was injured. So when Gabriel was still playing, Gabriel was consistent for you lot last season. You didn't win the league. Ake was one of our most consistent players last season. I think he's so underrated, Ake, for me. And I think Pep will look at that game, that first half performance, and think, do you know what? Yeah, it's one defender I can rely on. Always.
He's an elite 1v1 defender for me, Ake.
Yeah.
Put him up against any winger or any attacker. I'll fancy Ake to defensively do a solid job with him. I'm not arsed about Ake going forward. I don't think he's arsed about going forward much himself.
No, against Liverpool, he's pretty damn good, wasn't he?
yeah. But like you saw even last season, the FA Cup against Saka, who was in flying form at the time, Ake locked him down. And we've seen him do it against other wingers as well. But you got another show now, Daps, don't you?
Yeah, I think you have as well, haven't you?
No, half 10.
Oh, 10:30. Okay, yeah, I do. I'm over with Rants and Bants, Noisy Neighbours. Actually, just quickly, to everyone that followed me last week, loads of people followed me last week over to the Liverpool channel. And when I got there, they were like, I joined the stream, and so were like, fucking hell, this is a Liverpool channel. We've been invaded by Blues, giving us shit. So salute to everyone. If you want to follow me over now, this is it's called Noisy Neighbours, myself, Rants and Bants. And listen, it's just going to be a beautiful hour of cooking Man United, pretty much, to be fair with you. So
there should be a redirect. Jordan said he put it on this stream straight over to Rants and Bants for Rants and Daps going head to head. Hopefully Daps gives him a good cooking. If you want to catch me at 10:30, I'll be on the Big Six show previewing City Spurs and whatever else games there are this weekend. Also, do check out Never a Foul, where Daps is there daily doing things. Subscribe over there, show love to him. I always say we like to show love to our great guests. They make this channel as great as it is. Hit the like button on your way out of here, people. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, as always. Leave your thoughts below in the comments if you're watching on playback. And Daps will see you again around this time next week. Good night and God bless.
Love, people.